So welcome back, y'all. My name is Seb Luka, and this is United in Tech podcast official number 1. Now, unfortunately, as being the first podcast, we've found ourselves in a bit of a pickle, whereas our special guest and our co-host for today's podcast has had last minute technical difficulties, of course, and as a result our industry PC tech and specialist regarding many things tech related and even game related, Battlefield and whatnot, Mr. Stewie D is unavailable for today's podcast. So I thought while the information is still ripe, we should go ahead with the fact that, you know, there's some relevant information that should be put out there for you all, and as a result you guys can have the luxury of experiencing UIT or United in Tech podcast number 1, unofficial, official, and it'll give me a chance as well to make sure and see that everything is running fairly smoothly, even though the horizontals and verticals were meant to be controlled in a more seamless environment between a couple of parties. It may not be as crisp the image as I want to portray, and it's still a learning process, because even using things like, you know, PowerPoint slides and stuff like that, I haven't done so in years, so it's been a massive amount of work in the last couple of days just to get to this point, and as a result I'm hoping that it's not completely shambles. Now, on the side note, if you know me from yesteryear, I used to be a streamer on Twitch as well, known as Robbie Astral, Corn Shops, Ghost Mechanica, many other names. I've got currently a YouTube channel called Techness Corner. It's linked in the about section of the Twitch, of the Twitter, of the Twitch channel section, along with our new Twitter handle and / link to United in Tech. Now, generally speaking, this may be restreamed on Twitch, the podcast, otherwise they will be exclusive to YouTube, with everything else perhaps being streamed except the official podcast and or on Twitch. If not, it'll be restreamed to both Twitch and YouTube at the same time, with Twitter notifying you also. If you guys want to follow us in United in Tech podcast on Twitter, then you guys should get notified of when our next podcasts are going live, so that you don't miss anything regarding, generally speaking, PC tech related news that is at the most forefront and current and relevant to, you know, PC basics to PC enthusiasts on a, generally speaking, consumer personal computer level. So let's get into podcast number 1 official of United in Tech. So speaking of verticals and horizontals, it's not the way I would have portrayed it. Unfortunately, Stewie D ain't with us today. I've left that there to make sure that he's aware that his place is here with you all and myself inclusive, and the thumbnail on the other hand wouldn't be obviously noticed or utilized. And I apologize for the what will be cheapishly portrayed slides. I've done the best I can in the short time space I've had available, and over the next few podcasts it should improve drastically. With that in mind, understand that it's not about the looks all the time. It's also about the fact that you've got the content that's given by us is always direct, concise, informative, and precise as well. So it's no flabbergasted stuff, no full transparency generally, and with no hidden agendas, no sponsorships or anything like that whatsoever. So as a result, we don't have any ties and dues, and we can give proper opinionative responses to any questions and or queries that come up, perhaps in chat. Generally, we'll have a question Q&A time, probably progressing to the end after we run through the topics. And as you can see, it's not clickbait, but you know, the new gaming king, the Ryzen 7 5800X 3D is a thing and is about to be released on this world. So speaking of unprofessionalism, you wouldn't generally see this, but you know, so we are going to be discussing today the 5800X 3D, GPU prices and how they are currently, which is on the up and up, guys, in a good way, because it seems like they're going down and down. And also AMD's made a few announcements, including the 5800X 3D chiplet that's about to be released, along with other chips per se, but also a couple of announcements pertaining to what is AMD's competitor to NVIDIA's DLSS, and that's the FSR 2.0. And we'll get into these topics and see whether it all stacks up to an nth degree as best as I can without my co-host with me today. So yeah, let us continue, guys. On a side note, I've actually been in the industry of PC tech and that for about 14 years now. I've got comprehensive knowledge as well, avid builder, hobbyist inclusive. There's only so much you can do because it's an expensive hobby regardless of justification. So whenever there's a chance to build a PC for someone, I do so. I'm trying to, with the Techness Corner YouTube channel, link provided below, provide a free service so that I can produce content for people. And if anything, all I ask for is a $20 to $50 quote fee, where if they have me go through the work of sussing out components and that which are compatible with each other, they're more inclined then to, and I'll do the build cost for free. So what I'm asking is 1/4 of the amount that would be asked otherwise, just so that I'm not used per se for that avenue and field, and end up spending half an hour to an hour's time essentially assessing, you know, the compatibility of someone's build and how it's going to work, including every aspect of it, just to have them go, I'll be in touch with you. And I'm like, sorry, what? I thought you were ready to roll with this. We have to sort of press forward. What did you just have me do for you? You know what I mean? And this has happened numerous times because I find myself a decent human being. And as a result, yeah, so I've got my ultra beverage. Let us continue with podcast number 1, guys. And girls, ultra beverage people. And unfortunately, COVID and the fact that Daniel's Donuts has opened up near my place has resulted in very tasty coffee and or donuts, but I tell ya, I don't know if they did it intentionally or not, frankly, but it's not doing me justice at my age now when I'm not riding the bike as much as I used to. So yeah, we'll keep Daniel's Donuts and any potential sponsorship from them probably on the down low, just in case, because it's probably not a good thing in the long run for anyone to be sponsored by a donut company. True. Jokes aside, yeah, so let's continue forward, guys. So essentially, the Ryzen chips being released real soon. The ones to look out for are obviously your 5800X 3D, and your X3D is essentially an 8-core 16-threaded chip. It's got a turbo frequency of 4500 or 4.5 gigahertz. That's actually down from 4.7 gigahertz on the old 5800X. But the killer thing here is it's up in power consumption of 105 watts. It's going to be priced respectively an MSRP of $449. But the killer thing here is the L3 cache, which is sort of like your IPS gains, and as a result, that's going to be higher than what even the 5950X can provide. And with the lower frequencies, essentially that allows for lower temperatures, but because of the higher L3 cache, the performance, the lowered frequency performance isn't lost out because it's gained through the caching capabilities. Another CPU that's worthwhile noting is the Ryzen 7 5700X, and that's just slotting in at $299, and we'll get to this more so in a second's time, just because look, at 3.4 gigahertz base frequency, while only a modest 4.5 gigahertz turbo at 105 watts, the 5800X 3D, the key aspect here is the V cache, where the L3 cache has 96 megabytes of caching ability, while on a comparison level, for example, the 5900X and the 5950X respectively have only 64 megabytes on that L3 level. And with 8 cores and 16 threads, it just means that this processor won't be a slouch in many workloads. But this is where it becomes interesting, right? As the MSRP for the Ryzen 7 5800X 3D, as mentioned, is $449, while for a higher turbo frequency at 4.6 gigahertz and much lower power consumption of 65 watts TDP, if you're not after as much but still want 8 cores and 16 threads, the 5700X that should have been here a lot sooner, that is filling the gap and the space in regards to the product range that AMD has in the Zen 3 architecture, is definitely an interesting development. As the MSRP of only $299, it'll be priced accordingly between the MSRP of both the Intel chips. So I'll show you guys here. The Intel chips of the Core i7 12700F, which is at 314, okay, and the Core i5 12600K, which is at 289. So this is another reason them bringing something like this into the mix. What would be interesting more so is if that 5800X3D, for example, was say 349, then we'd be talking something really interesting. Okay, both Intel chips are in between, and on a comparison level you can see that they're on PCIe Gen 5. Okay, otherwise you got the 5800 X3D, which is PCIe Gen 4.0. But even with that and the data that's showing performance metrics on the chips, it hasn't hindered it because of that L3 caching, which as you can see here is 96 megabytes in total, as opposed to the 30 megabytes of even the Core i9, or the 25 megabytes or the 20 megabytes of chips priced accordingly in the region per se. Even the Ryzen 5700X has got 32 megabytes, which is higher than that of the Core i9 12900F. So that's something to look at there. It's for me personally, for a chip now currently, if you're budget restrained, that 5700X that's going to be released 8 cores and 16 threads is definitely worthwhile looking into. You can deal with DDR4 RAM and not be breaking the bank everywhere, but be getting benefits and gains because of that superior caching that AMD has shown is available. So yeah, that's that in a nutshell. There's other chips which have come available. There's the 4000 range, which is going to be OEM specific as well, and they're not as relevant on the level that we're trying to provide you with that information. They won't be available to the public, so that's something to consider. But it's just amazing that, you know, with just a bit of competition, how much the prices can be effective as a result. And you just hope that, I wish there was an extra player in the market, frankly, but we don't always get that luxury. So yeah, it's unfortunate. And I apologize if I banter back and forth slightly. This is my first official podcast, United in Tech, podcast number 1. Please follow us for performance gains, both in innovation pressing forward pertaining to tech, as well as my own performance gains and metrics being improved, as well as I get a bit more comfortable doing this. But that brings us to the fact that, you know, DDR5 RAM prices, and, you know, considering that is the massive issue pertaining to these types of, like the 12700F at $314 as opposed to $299, even $449 for the 5800 X3D. Because of PCIe Gen 5, you're going to want to capitalize on a motherboard that has DDR5 memory capabilities. That's going to cost you more. It's going to have to cost you, like, it's all an additional cost, plus the memory itself. Okay, the memory itself, you know, replatforming to get all the benefits of the 12th gen Intel has to offer, like PCIe Gen 5, does not come at a modest cost, to be frank, where the 5800 X3D chip is said to, due to its L3 cache increase, be set in topping the 12900K even. Okay, guys? So, and gain the crown as the gaming peak, gaming king. Be it only in PCIe Gen 4, and with the Mega DDR4 RAM inclusive, coupled with the costs if flipping to Intel's DDR5 capable chips as a substantial level of, say, 16 to 32 gigabytes, will cost anywhere from 289 to 500 Australian dollars for 16 to 32 gigabytes at about 4800 megahertz. So these are current prices of what is Centacom's pricing, and Centacom's like a micro centre in our state of Australia, which I'm based in Melbourne, Victoria, and they're very competitive along with, you know, Newegg and everything else. They're on par to an nth degree with set items. Other items might be higher, other items might be lower, but you find out wherever you go. And as you can see, the cost of doing business, as opposed to if you just want some better performance, you know, unless you go in the whole 9 yards, it's not worth it currently with what I believe this 5800X 3D chip can bring to the table, especially considering you can just plug and play it into backwards compatible motherboards of yesteryear, and have a nice little upgrade that otherwise you wouldn't, and you can mitigate that cost easily by selling off the other chip as well. You have to remember that. Okay, so, you know, the other thing is, you know, even if you needed then on top of this, and this is the price for 16 to 32 gigabytes at its cheapest, okay, so you start getting into the frivolous RGB lit, you know, dims and modes, and, you know, better quality DDR because it's more expensive. Or if you need 64 gigabytes, you know, for example, is necessary, if, for example, you plan to use any RAM intensive workload scenarios, or just are essentially multitasking gods while playing Warzone, then you can imagine the costs already involved in indulging in the full benefits of Intel's 12th gen rather than the option of the 5800X 3D chip. So yeah, that's something really to consider, guys, and that's why I'm really happy about that. But that leads us into the fact that, you know, on another level, if you're looking at another upgrade, and you can't go there, okay, finally, GPU prices are plummeting to MSRP, guys. And this is current of yesterday. This is in Australian dollars, but there's the on sale normally price. Look, to be brutally honest, that's what it was a few weeks ago. In the last couple of weeks, this price was $10.99. This is, for example, a 6700 XT Red Devil OC 12 gigabyte of your DDR6 memory, Samsung memory, and $9.99 it is now. So 250 smackaroons in Australian dollars. It has dropped considerably, and this is not some far distant country like Germany, no offense to the Germans, but in Australia over the last few days, this is reported from PC Case Gear, and in recent, it seems like I'm an avid scourer of current pricing and product availability. Other GPUs are also on special currently. Also, well, many are essentially, and those special prices are going to relate to a lowering of the bar, bringing them in line to what, you know, they can figure out is their best step forward regarding their own profits as retailers as well. So that's something that is massive, guys, and this is across the whole board, people, going from your higher end Spectrum cards to your lower end. So do not partake in the scalper markets. Prices in second-hand cards like your 2080 Ti's and things like that, you know, Australian wise, they have to be dropping $200-300 as well now. Okay, there's no reason for them to hold that command like they have been in recent. At least it seems like that, crossing our fingers, pressing forward, pertaining to the near future. So yeah, leads us into what is essentially one of AMD's big announcements. And yeah, this is if you're after the GPU and you're on the NVIDIA bandwagon, totally understood. I am also a NVIDIA lackey, but I don't discount the underdog and the opposition. And pertaining to AMD versus NVIDIA and GPUs, AMD is still a bit of the underdog, ain't they? Especially when it comes to market share and whatnot. Yeah, it's pretty much just in time, considering AMD has just announced Fidelity FX Super Resolution 2.0, a much more comprehensive competitor to NVIDIA's DLSS with wide GPU support, especially pertaining to your 5000, 6000 series. And it's not the only thing. They've also provided another form of similar to FSR, which is on a lighter scale, but FSR, if the game supports it and your GPU does, it's much more comprehensive. I will do the best I can, okay, but for example, for more information can be found, say, by visiting good old Tim at the Hard Channel website, Hardware Unboxed, where he's given, even though lengthy, short by his standards, an explanation on this software component to hit many an AMD GPU. But in a nutshell, before I get into a couple of videos that may help lighten and explain this situation provided by AMD through their announcements and drops of this. This is massive because this has come available in the Adrenalin 2.0 Adrenalin driver packages, and it's literally live, but in a nutshell, from my understanding, because I am, when it comes to this technicality stuff, I can understand it, it's just difficult to articulate it. It means that FSR 2.0 will be a temporal upscaling solution, which differs greatly from FSR 1.0, which is a spatial solution. And this would bring it in line with NVIDIA's DLSS and Intel's upcoming XCSS, which they both use, temporal upscaling. Don't let them fool you saying it's AI and shit. That's NVIDIA marketing to con you into something that is like DLSS, and you can't get this because of they want to essentially take something that should be open source and close it up so that it's exclusive to them. And if they adopt it and have the industry adopt this gaming wise and whatnot, and they have a lot of presence when it comes to this sort of stuff, so that's the whole thing. But they both use temporal upscaling, so this means that it will actually compete where necessary, be it still perhaps the debatable stigma of RTX department currently, which next gen AMD GPUs should be a lot stronger in as well. But it's a debate, because RTX is a debate as well, because when you have it on at the performance hits, there's only so many games that utilize it effectively. NVIDIA lackey games, you have to understand that. For example, Valhalla and all that, that's an AMD lackey game, get me? But in the RTX department, even like some of the most recent games like Red Dead Redemption, one of the most beautiful games ever created in history, has no RTX functionality whatsoever. So it's another one of those NVIDIA stunts to have you to maintain market share essentially. So this Fidelity FX stuff is massive on AMD's front, okay, and to make it a bit more basic, it essentially lets you down render your 4K so you can put it in a resolution lower than that, and then it will upscale it back to that with temporal upscaling. So I've got a video here. I don't know how it's going to pop up, so forgive me if you see some nudie pictures. I know you shouldn't, but it's introducing Radeon Super Resolution and Fidelity FX Super Resolution 2.0, and then we've got a follow-up video. These are short videos. Super Resolution 2.0, first look in Deathloop. I haven't had a chance to play Deathloop, so it'll be interesting seeing the differentials between 2.0 and I'm guessing 1.0. So let's check these out, and hopefully these are all above board videos and kosher as well.
Hey everyone, really excited to be here with you today to share some updates we have around our super resolution technologies. As you may recall, in June of 2021, AMD introduced our brand new in-game upscaling feature called AMD Fidelity FX Super Resolution, or FSR for short. This feature was highly praised for its outstanding performance, broad compatibility, and ease of implementation it delivered to supported games. In fact, FSR is the fastest adopted software technology in AMD history, with over 75 games available now or coming soon. Even though FSR was well received by game developers, press, and our community, AMD has not slowed down, and we've been continuously looking at new solutions to make your gaming experience even better. With the release of our latest AMD software Adrenalin Edition driver, gamers can now take advantage of our all-new Radeon Super Resolution technology, which is our in-driver upscaling feature powered by FSR. With Radeon Super Resolution, or as we like to call it, RSR, gamers can enable this feature across thousands of games, elevating their performance in titles that do not have FSR natively supported. RSR is simple to use and can be enabled in just 2 easy steps. Simply turn it on in AMD software, then go into your game and lower the in-game resolution to your desired setting. In this example, we're lowering our resolution from native 4K to 1440p, which is equivalent to the FSR quality preset. Once you apply your resolution, AMD software will automatically upscale and apply the algorithm to give you an instant performance boost. We ran RSR across these select titles that do not support FSR, and as you can see, depending on the resolution you pick, your performance can increase by as much as 3x. RSR is available now for Radeon RX 5000 and RX 6000 series discrete GPUs, with support for all Ryzen 6000 series processors for mobile coming in Q2 of 2022. But we haven't stopped there. We also have some great news in regards to our FSR technology. I'm extremely excited to announce that AMD's Fidelity FX Super Resolution 2.0, the next generation of our cutting-edge upscaling technology, is coming to games in the near future. Since we launched Fidelity FX Super Resolution in 2021, we've been paying close attention to the feedback from game developers, media, and from gamers about what you love and what we can improve in FSR. While FSR 2.0 has been designed to greatly enhance one very important aspect of upscaling, and that's image quality. Fidelity FX Super Resolution 2.0 uses a temporal upscaling algorithm, which takes previous frame data to generate much.
So we've got a couple minutes left of this video, but yeah, I was pretty accurate in my description, I believe, on the basic. It's temporal upscaling, and like I said, this is what NVIDIA and XCSS Intel will both be utilizing per se. Very simple. I actually have just tried this out because this came with the newest driver packages. AMD, with previous driver issues from the 5000 range, they're really pulling it all together now. And on a side note, some insider information, the next gen 7000 series cards are ripe to be where the 7700 is going to be half the price of what the 6900 XT was, and at the 6900 XT or better performance wise. So they're potentially going to drop the ball like they did with their chiplets in recent. That is going to push innovation forward and try to get an NVIDIA and perhaps, you know, competitively price XCSS Intel GPUs once they're available on the back foot. So it's something to look forward to, because competition is rampant and is definitely needed in this consumer level for us all to be regarding PC building and whatnot. But the other thing is, we'll get to this end of this video, and we'll see the examples of it in a short 2-minute video. And yeah, but I got a chance to experience it on Apex Legends, and I play in 4K. I dropped it down to 1440. I put it back up to 3200, I believe, or like a custom resolution, and then it beefs it up to 4K. And performance-wise, on my 6900 XT, I'm getting 200 frames plus in 4K, for God's sake. Not diminishing anything. I'm too young. My metachlorian count has dropped. A bit of a Star Wars reference. I'm not as strong in the Force as I used to be, so I like to experience the games for what they're meant to be experienced as. Nothing wrong with esports settings, but, you know, I don't like those pixelated explosions and stuff, you know, those boxy explosions, and, you know, where's all the steam and the mist? Oh wait, I can see you, Bo. I can't see you for all the fucking fog, Bo. This is bullshit. Just turn off the settings, you know. But let's get through this video so you guys can have a better understanding, just to reiterate it, and we'll see an example of it, leading us to pretty much what will be the conclusion of podcast number 1. Unfortunately, I haven't got Stewie D, Industry PC Tech, with me today, which would have given us the luxury of bouncing back and hearing his thoughts on the matter, as well as you guys joining in on the discussion. It'd be much easier to mitigate and discuss with you all, and answer any questions, and or maybe have some experts come in and give their 2 cents or 5 cents. We are looking at starting a Discord sometime in the near future, and everyone shall be welcome. No paywalls or anything, upwards and to the point that if it was successful, we need more than 200 people, then there might be a slight fee incurred, which is the averaged out fee of us just unlocking more. So over 200 people, it's going to be like 0.5 cents. That's what you have to pay, you know what I mean?
Much better results than is possible with spatial upscaling. And at the same time, it replaces in-game TAA with an optimized, higher quality anti-aliasing. With this upgrade, FSR 2.0 delivers significantly higher image quality than FSR at all quality mode presets and screen resolutions. And because it doesn't require machine learning, it can work across a wide range of products from both AMD and our competitors. Let's have a look at FSR 2.0 in action so that you can see these improvements yourself. One of the first games to get FSR 2.0 will be the award-winning Deathloop from our friends over at Arcane Studios and Bethesda. Here's FSR 2.0 in quality mode at 4K compared to both native resolution and FSR 1.0. As you can see, the image quality here is virtually identical to the native image. Here's a more challenging upscaling scenario. This time, Deathloop is running performance mode at 4K, and you can see FSR 2.0 produces superior image quality to FSR in this mode. In fact, in FSR 2's performance mode, at regular viewing distances, you can have a near native quality gaming experience while achieving faster frames. There's simply no denying, FSR 2 is amazing. It delivers an incredible leap in image quality over the previous generation, and it gives users a fantastic performance boost to supported games. We'll have more information to share with you at the upcoming Game Developers Conference later this month, so stay tuned. And for now, you can learn more about RSR and FSR by checking out the links below. Thank you for joining us today, and I hope you have a great one.
So yeah, that's a bit of what is currently going on that is massive in the PC tech space. Hope you guys got something out of it. Look, on a side note, I was going to talk about, what we're currently doing ourselves. Don't forget to suss out my YouTube channel, Techness Corner, link provided. And just recently I installed a 140mm fan by NZXT, which is a few years old now, but it suited everything I had on hand to seamlessly integrate it with my 10900K system. Looks and runs nice, and I'm happy after all, because a new 3090 or DDR5 and 12 gen unfortunately is not on the horizon. Lol. So my name is Seb Luka, guys. That's a picture of Extrafy or X there, and yeah, it's not the best picture footage wise in Techness Corner, and the videos associated, you'll get a much cleaner image of everything, and it's a full unboxing review and rundown on a couple of those fans. Some budget orientated 140mm available as well, which are RGB spastic. They all are. I've got a blue theme here because we've got the NZXT Kraken Z73 installed. I had to take away the ML360 Sub-Zero cooler, which is a tech, and there were issues with that, and this is doing it justice. And this blue setup is set up to audio responsiveness. Okay, so it's not just the basic blue. So it's done nicely, and I enjoy it. So that's something in my neck of the woods that I've been doing. Plenty of videos there as well at the Techness Corner to keep you busy and help fortify your knowledge on current things, and or just general things that are done well, and not, it's not BS, guys. There's a lot of BS in the industry that you have to be aware of, and I'm hoping that we can provide you with honest information that allows you and empowers you to make the correct and right choices regarding what is now becoming very expensive side hobby, which may be PC gaming and whatnot, guys. So again, my name is Seb Luka. Don't forget to follow, like, share and subscribe, and peace out, y'all.